think the problem in this debate is that other alternatives have been put on the sideline because of paid surrogacy. We think that there's a huge trend in stigma which is in the entrenched in society simply because that this alternative exists, and we think that the individuals and the stakeholders that have been existing in the debate essentially are creating a harm to other individuals. So let's go on straight to the little bit of characterization. What usually individuals who most likely get involved with paid surrogacy? Most often than not, individuals who get involved with paid surrogacy are usually individuals who are rich because they can afford paying for these kind of things. Right? Most of these individuals essentially have the luxury of going out there and choosing the most expensive alternative, and that is essentially a problem. Number two, who are these individuals who usually are surrogates, right? Most of these individuals are poor. Like a recent poll shows that most of the surrogates usually come from countries like India, etc. Because of the monetary incentive within that. Also, these individuals won't necessarily realize what they're getting themselves into, and that's essentially a problem because these rich individuals show off that they're going to money and doing good, but never realizing what these individuals then have, right? Most often than not, it puts these individuals in an asymmetric information where they are more likely to be abused as a whole. So, on to the other characteristics. Right? What are the other alternatives we want to propagate in the debate? Right? Other alternatives like adoption, right? We want this to be available in society. I think that's essentially a problem. Why? Why don't individuals want this adoption? Right? This debate essentially encompasses individuals who want to have kids but cannot have them at all. Right? You think the problem here is that when individuals want to have kids, they look for the best alternative. Now, when money comes into play in this equation, they look at the best alternative that suits them. The problem here is that in status quo, there's an overemphasis that the child that you have has to be yours or has to be some way related to you and has features similar to you, right? We think that an individual starts to adopt a child and when he grows up has different traits. Individuals look back on this child, look back on this family. Many of these individuals and rich people don't want that because their image, their name, and their reputation, which is then in danger, and they don't usually want to be associated with that. This means that these individuals have been pushing for paid surrogacy as a whole. The problem here is number one, more and more individuals are opting into paid surrogacy, and paid surrogacy is the major form of alternative other than adoption, right? We think what does this happen? It creates a trend that creates a narrative that the child you have then has to be yours. Now, this is the problem, right? Because more and more individuals are now pushing themselves into opting into this policy. That's created a trend and an overemphasis in society that whatever child you have has to be yours, and if it's not yours, it is there's a stigma towards you, right? We think that's essentially a problem. Why? Why? It disenfranchises individuals who are poor, right? Because you need to realize that not everybody can get involved with paid surrogacy. Because there's a certain amount of financial, you need to have some form of financial access income to essentially get involved. This means that any other individual who is then involved with adoption, etc., is then affected, right? Because they have this sort of stigma towards that. When this sort of stigma essentially exists with this individual, someone, there's already a gap clearly showing you that there's a rich and poor divide, right? Number two, that the life which you can then have for you yourself and your child is then hampered simply because the people around you start to essentially look down on you, right? Like, oh, that's really not your child. And any form of problem this child may have is then so that this is a problem of you not having your own child, and etc. This essentially has pushed individuals away from the idea of adoption. Later, how does this then change under our policy? Number one, when we essentially allow individuals to take this alternative and we regret paid surrogacy, we show to them that it doesn't matter how much money you have or what are the other alternatives you get. The fact here is that the basic and core value is we want to have a child, we want you to have a child, and we think that there are so many individuals in the doctrine which essentially you can go. The problem here, because of paid surrogacy, most individuals pull away from adoption. This means less children get adopted. The facilities in adoption essentially, the accessibility, all these things are reduced, and the quality of life of these individuals is then reduced. So we think that the moment you start pulling this other alternatives and rich alternatives away, these individuals have to start to move to another alternative, right? This is where the state can then facilitate that form of change. Why? We not push these individuals to go towards adoption. It creates a counter narrative to the value you see essentially. So it's no longer that the value here is that the child has to be yours, but allowing you to be a parent is the best part here. And the experience of being a parent is the most important element in this context, right? We think the benefit here is also when more individuals start pushing here, it essentially means that they can then have the counter trend in this, right? Because now rich people will also have to go into adoption, right? The moment this happens, a spectrum of society will be getting involved in adoption. This means that you cannot come up here and say that only one class of society is opting into adoption, and this alternative is only specific for that one class. Because now a spectrum of individuals are going through. So you can't say only poor people usually walk into adoption, right? Because that's not the truth.
Not to deny the fact that surrogate pregnancy can help people suffering from poverty out of poverty, especially since they pay huge amounts when we buy our system.
That is in Mitchell's entire speech, right? About how poor people usually are being pushed to the side, how due to desperation they usually cannot come out of the vicious cycle, and how when something happens wrong in the pregnancy, these individuals are pushed aside and they cannot have any form of accountability towards that and all those things, right? Children. Now, onto the second idea, what is essential benefit on the trickle-down effect, right? Number one, you create a better system. Why? Because now a spectrum of society is getting involved into adoption. Which spectrum of society is opting in. There's a better system and there's a better need for a system because more individuals are getting adopted, right? This changes the stigma and people will be more supportive towards adoption. The problem is not many people donate into adoption as much as they used to because other alternatives essentially exist. So now, when you have this sort of things, you push more support and more social support to these sorts of things. And you push them into adoption to help facilitate a better system. We think the point here in this debate is that being a parent is great. Having experience of being a parent is great. But you should not overemphasize that the child really has to be yours, right? And we think that the harm of those other individuals who walk into this policy is far worse to be back to propose.
Thank you, Prime Minister. We now follow up with your position.
Very clear position. While we do not regret paid surrogacy, we regret two things. Firstly, we regret circumstances that drive women to surrogacy. Secondly, we regret the stigma that has been associated with women's choices throughout the year. I'll put this throughout two contexts. Firstly, I'll tell you how the alternative to paid surgery are worse and why many women opt for these options. Secondly, I'll also talk to you about body autonomy and why it's essential that paid surrogacy becomes something that we should support. Because it is a woman's choice, and we believe that a woman's choice is something that is incredibly essential in today's debate. Before that, several comments. I actually do not understand why Kanda, who had an opportunity to talk about these women in India who had been suffering, who had been driven to paid surrogacy, and instead opted to talk about the payers for paid surrogacy. Firstly, he talked about the individuals who are rich paying the poor in India. And he talked to us about how the fact that individuals do not understand what they are getting themselves into. However, this is completely false, right? The thing that in India, especially when it comes to surrogacy, there are very strict standards they implement about who can be a surrogate mother and who cannot be, right? Especially in India, the law states that you have to have had a child so before, right? Before you can be a surrogate mother. This ensures that you have some level of informed consent about what you are getting yourself into. We think this is incredibly essential. Because the idea of women being victimized because they simply do not understand what it takes to bear a child and to give birth to one is incredibly false, right? Looking at the standards in India, they have very high medical examination income for these women, right? Why? Because it's also in the best interest of the parent to guarantee the best possible treatment of the mother of your future child. So the incentives created to ensure that these women are taken care of are incredibly high. So the alternative for this being worse, we think that for this reason, we think that surrogacy is not the first option. choices, right? So Tata talked to us about how we wanted to have our adoption. But never told us why adoption was exactly the best alternative. Say that they will create a better adoption structure, right? But we thought that it was a thought of having a kid on that high, or having a kid that didn't look like you on that high. You do not opt for adoption anyway, and those choices that he thought would be created on the side ultimately upset, right? And of course, it disencourages other people from poor and further the rich and poor divide. But when a rich person looks down on a poor person, they barely look down on the poor person because he had a child, it looks like a different thing. There are many reasons for rich people to look down on the poor person. So we think that this furthering the rich and poor divide argument, the kind of one is extremely right? But before I move on, quite context.
Would you allow a poor person to sell his own kidney to pay for his child?
Yes. I think when the alternatives are when the individual makes a rational contribution, when for example the individual has one kidney, suffering from poor health, able to sell his kidney so that his child may live, survive, not starve, have an education, it is that choices that individual is perfectly able to make. And I'm proud to stand by his vision for those individuals, right? So firstly, how the alternatives face the business, right? Because this is not something that people do, but it's not a lifestyle choice. Often women are in position of poverty, in areas of higher unemployment, where alternatives do not exist. This is when no opportunity for social mobility, right? And in absence of these alternatives, sometimes surrogacy is indeed the only way, right? I think that by limiting the options to these women, by let's say not allowing them to paid surrogacy, or by increasing the stigma for them in these options, you have locked these women in cycles of poverty and desperation, right? I think that the freedom of a woman to thrive as a social ladder on her own terms, the resources and assets available to her, something that's incredibly important. Yes, breaking the bond between yourself and your biological child may be terrible, may be painful. But sometimes the alternatives are worse. The alternatives are watching your other children starve and die. We think that often the situation that people are driving women to make these choices, and we think that an individual should be able to make choices in order to best benefit themselves and their families. And for those reasons, we think that the alternative is these. What is my second argument and contribution? I'll talk to you about quality and quantity, why it's essential that we empower this idea of paid service. Think about too long, the patriarchal legal and social structure has been able to tell women what she can or cannot do with her body, right? First they told her, you can't sell your body as a prostitute. Then they told her, you can't have an abortion. Now they're telling you, you can't sell your body. I mean, you can't sell your food as a surrogate mother. Time and time again, society has been able to tell women that you are not in control of your own body, that somehow you don't know better, or that somehow you are not in charge of not in control of your own agency. We think that's incredibly harmful. Or why? Right? Because the patriarchy has always sought to judge women. Part of this way, this society systematically oppress women by creating social sanctions and legal consequences for their actions. But what happens with paid surrogacy, right? I think that we create a significant effect. That indeed the paid surrogacy is something that when a woman makes that choice, a woman uses the assets that are available to her, these are something that we should celebrate, right? I think that is incredibly beneficial when it comes to women fighting for their own body, fighting for the right to exercise themselves as an individual, what they can or cannot do with their own bodies, right? So on the question of low consent, on how these women will suffer, perhaps one question we talk about, actually talk about women that we need to talk about today. Right? I think that strict standards that have already been imposed by the ministers are sufficient measures for them to at least ensure that women suffer some degree of protection. We also want to talk about the fact that these women, often after they give birth, are often pregnant. We also think that they are at least able to make the rational contribution. Right? I think that a woman who otherwise receive no medical examination is able to opt in into this option of having a baby or having a surrogate or being a surrogate mother. I think that these alternatives are better. So, in summary, right, what am I going to do today, right? Firstly, I talked to you about how the alternative paid services onwards, how many women do not opt into this, like, it's not a lifestyle choice. In fact, many people do this because the alternatives are either being blocked inside of poverty permanently or like watching the family staff documents, right? I think that the actually alternatives, surrogacy sometimes is only option. But secondly, talk to you about quality, right? We've read the stigma that's associated with the structure is why support paid surrogacy, because it's the expression of a woman's desire or the exercise control and authority over her body, right? I think that when society has told women, but they cannot do the body, I think that paid surrogacy is a way that women exercises those rights and in order to best empower themselves for all those reasons.
Thank you, your applause. We now call on the Deputy Prime Minister to address.
Men are often set by the rich, and the strength often neglect the poor, and the strength sometimes exacerbate the problems that are caused by the poor, especially with the asymmetry of education. I will be telling you about the trauma that are faced by surrogate mothers all around the world. When the percentage of surrogate mothers who return to continue doing surrogacy is at an all-time low, where 90% of the women who were surrogate mothers choose not to return. I will be talking to people who don't have a voice and chose not to say why they did not return. But what did Kanda tell you that was so important? Number one, he told you that this trend is set by the rich and it's problematic because it discourages people from adoption. And secondly, how it locks into people. Because the other alternatives don't encompass a third party. The unique pernicious problem with surrogacy is it involves third party, but it involves an individual who is systematically oppressed economically. I'll be talking about those two key elements and why that's a problem. Before I move on, any questions? Ladies and gentlemen, a few rebuttals to Mark's speech. Number one, he told us that the other alternatives are far worse. We don't think so, because the other alternatives do not encompass you being a poor person and making it seem like a often sort of an individual. Do you honestly, Mark, think that if surrogacy wasn't on the rise, would the lady have looked for a better alternative? Yes, she would have. Because under our both paradigm, human beings in the whole choose to want to improve themselves economically. We think that there are pernicious harms in surrogacy, and we would prefer that women look for other alternatives which would have been available if surrogacy wasn't on the plan. But secondly, we talk about bodily autonomy and why this is important. Number one, there's a huge debate on prostitution. Are you really in control of your body? I mean, the question here is, if you were of a different economic standing, would you still prostitute yourself? You would most likely not. That means that this bodily autonomy, it only stretches as soon as far as you're rich. I mean, once you're poor, you somehow have a less standing in society, and your body can be easily accessible by more people. We don't think you respect bodily autonomy, we respect bodily autonomy more. Let me talk about what he thought was wrong intention, but that's actually the crux of it. Why this harms the poor perniciously? Because we've already explained to you, the surrogate mothers are individuals from third world countries. What does that mean? It means they're more likely not to have received complete education, but they are mandated to want to improve their level within the society. So they look for other alternatives that seem feasible by them. It does not involve them going and improving their education themselves. It does not involve them going and looking for other alternatives. It is using their body. The first prostitution is so rampant in India, but the problem is more women get raped, more women get forced into it. That isn't a real choice. And this is the same perniciosity that happened within surrogacy. Why? Because individuals who consent to this are usually financially exhausted. What does that mean? It means that they view this as an easy way of getting money. But is it really a choice when you wouldn't have done this if there were other alternatives on the table? But I'm going to tell you why it harms them traumatically. Because you cannot calculate the trauma when you separate from the child. And that's the fact like this. But I think the better one.
When there are no alternatives, and you also say that you do not have any surrogacy as an alternative. Exactly what is the first goal?
Under our side of the house, we would have been more happier because I'm going to tell you the harm surrogacy that states don't look for alternatives that involve women making their body accessible. We would rather states allow women to easily achieve education, have better financial support for the individual, and force them to view their body as an alternative to gaining money. So what does this do? You lock them in because of the Hopkins search, because you came with a consent completely understanding the repercussion. So this is the problem. Can you really inculcate and explain to the women that the child you've been carrying for 9 months is going to be torn away from you? It came out of your womb, it was a part of you, and now they're taking it away. Would a woman in India or in Bangladesh understand this when the doctor is explaining it as no? Because they view it as a quick, easy fix. But the problem is what happens to the cycle of the 9 months? when they get attached to the child. And then when it comes to conception date and its other individuals easily just pull the child away, the child that you raise, the child that you save, the child that only you carry, you are extremely traumatized. But this trauma would only be felt by the poor, because only the poor view it as an option. That's why more rich women would not view surrogacy as an option, because they understand and they're educated that the harm of losing a loved one such as a child. That's why a lot of surrogate mothers have a big law fight within the surrogate parent, because they feel that they need to keep the child. They're willing to confess it in court, because the crux of our game is that the trauma that is felt by these women, especially because it's great, you do not have financial support for other alternatives, and they use this as a quick easy fix, and they're not going to be willing to look for other alternatives. But there's a problem when you force them into this choice. But secondly, there's huge trauma which you cannot explain to them, and which they are not informed of. This is an asymmetry of information, and if you cannot inform them of the pain they will be going through, you regret service. You become more careful.
So your entire convention of open government is information. So if we can solve that problem by providing information also subsidize the source, are you then okay with that? Okay, number one.
The problem is the information part. Can you tell an individual what is it like that your child is going to be separated from you? Like, unfortunately, you can't. And there is no way of you trying to explain to the person what trauma is not like. A person who's never felt rape before cannot understand what are the pernicious problems and go through with rape. Same when a person was forced to give up a child that she took care of, that she is now attached to, because she feels that this child is somehow important to her, she is not going to understand it. You cannot inform her of the problem that she would face when she finds out that she has to let go of this child. And secondly, my second concern is how you lock them in a cycle. When you give them the alternative that selling your body or using your body is a decent way of living, you do not incentivize them to want to educate themselves. It means you continue a perpetual circle that is problematic. Because if they do this, what is incentive for them to want to put their kids to education? Then they would assume that these people would know, but these people would not know. So you lessen the mandate of a state to want to educate these people, so you allow them a quick easy fix. We would rather states be mandated to want to take care of the people wholesomely. How do you do this? Because you promote education, you promote other alternatives. It doesn't involve them having to sell their body. What did Mark argue to you? Basically, he did not engage with anything of conduct. But what did he argue to you? I'll give you three things. Surrogacy involves third party, it is more likely to be an individual of lower social economic standing, and that is problematic to lock that person into a cycle to bring it out.
If poverty were a bullet and the mother wanted to go in front of that bullet, push her child out of the way of that bullet and sacrifice herself to save a living child, we believe it is completely justified for civil pregnancy to take place. Why? Because a parent is fully entitled to make the sacrifices necessary to actually further their offspring. We feel that it's completely justified that a parent maintains the ability to have that choice. Now they talk about how alternatives have been put on the sideline. I feel that alternatives such as research into artificial insemination and all that will still remain. Why? Because of the experience of bearing your own child rather than having someone else to bear that child for you. It's something that people always want, and that incentive will always remain. We talk about how rich people would take advantage of the poor, but we feel this is not the case. Because especially when you have in this unique scenario where surrogate mothers have the unique control of all the resources, such as the main resources, which is the womb in itself. It's not out of the way to imagine themselves actually creating surrogate unions and actually demanding better rights that way, since they control what services are actually subscribed. You know about how adoption is going to be put on the sideline. I would feel that by their own characterization, that if the people that they are talking about in this debate are actually rich, one of the main characteristics of rich people is that
you want to pass personal wealth to your own offspring, either that, someone in your family. If not, no one at all, you rather dump into charity. So we feel that rich people either have their own child or no child at all. So adoption is not something we're talking about in this debate. Because see, in the scenario where a rich person has accumulated huge amount of wealth, you either pass on his own offspring, meaning his son or daughter that can further the family line, or rather his brother or sister, another member of the family, to keep the wealth in the family. And I talk about how there's a stigma to those that actually take part in this surrogate pregnancy. But we feel that if you are not on the economic side, it's completely relatable because you're trying to get out of that well of poverty, right? They talk about what if something happens during the pregnancy and what if that woman loses a child. We believe that the fact that in surrogate pregnancies you have to pay a huge sum of money upfront, right? It is actually quite hard for these women to get advantage of because medical standards are in place. And surrogates themselves, by the characterization in India, live in surrogate homes, but medical staff are on standby. So we feel that this scenario is best likely to take place. And talk about how there is no return to surrogacy. But we feel that that point is better on our side because obviously surrogate helps people get out of the cycle of poverty. So they don't need to return to surrogacy in the first place. If they were not in need of it anymore, they wouldn't be repeating it. Why? Because of the nature of that one-off payment of surrogacy that is equal to a loan that you actually do not get to pay back. Because just the thing, this one-off payment of surrogacy allows them to actually get the things they need, such as education. Think about how the incentive to look for other jobs will be reduced. We feel that when other jobs are not available, such as in a resource-deprived state or perhaps a resource-deprived community, you will need access to the choice that is surrogacy, because there truly is no other alternative. And we feel that in a world where outside does not get surrogate pregnancy, more choice is better than being forced to a bad choice under their preference. Because under their bad choice, that woman will be put into a sweatshop. She'll be locked in that cycle. Under our paradigm, under that one-off payment of, for example, $20,000 US, it can go a long way in India, right? It would help them out of that cycle of poverty. It would help them start a small business and education. So we believe that the sudden job of wealth is exactly what you need to get out of that cycle of poverty. But under their side, where you're forced to choose the same repetitive job that would not be that cycle of poverty in the first place. And what if states do not have the mandate to create change? Or do that in a state that does not have the mandate to create change, it's better to increase the size of the economic pie by including another service rather than fighting for other services or other resources that are present here. So what I'm saying is, when you create a new economy such as a surrogate pregnancy-related economy, to increase the size of the economy rather than resulting in a zero-sum game whereby you get resources from yourself, the state will have to take away allocation from other parts of the state, such as other departments of the state, and put it into your money. And they talk about how the information and the money is non-existent. But you see, we believe that in India, when you have to have had a child before, you have access to information. They try to imply that only a rich person will be educated, which is extremely harmful and maybe an equity violation itself. But you see, information does not always come in the form of rich trans education. We're quite confident you are.
Yeah. So the open opposition seems to be unending in making lives of their children better. Does that mean you think it is acceptable for parents to even commit crime if that means that the child will not go hungry?
See, the metric here is as long as there is no third party harm, as long as the harm only occurs to yourself, is the basis of how we justify things in law. So as long as there is no third party harm, there is knowledge of content, especially since you have had a child before, you only know about the harm of the pitfalls involved. We believe it is a justified choice. Because that POI is knowing that someone else has to sacrifice. Or we believe that the right to make a noble sacrifice to further your own goal, which is to actually raise your own offspring in a better environment, or to
help yourself out of the cycle of poverty where all other measures have failed, we believe it is extremely justifiable in the sense that the choice that you have under their paradigm is to belong to the cycle of poverty. On the our side, you do have that chance for one-off payment. You do have that chance of getting the resources you need to help yourself out of that situation. Now, what have I done in this debate? I've talked about how information would actually be better on our side and actually is maintained on our side. I've talked about how all other alternatives have failed to help these people out of poverty. I've talked about how these surrogate pregnancies benefit the women that take part in that, and the safeguards that are put in place to actually make that come to reality. That I'm proud of.
Thank you, Deputy Leader. All final open closing remarks today. Follow member government.
This debate must explore a characterization beyond two things. The first, that it cannot just be a discussion about whether surrogacy is bad or good, but it must be a discussion between whether paid surrogacy is a bad thing. The second thing it must go beyond is the discussion, a really simplistic discussion about whether consent is available or not. We will be the team that will tell you that in some instances, consent is unavailable and will provide analysis beyond what opening government did. But even further, we'll tell you, even when a woman is able to fully consent into paid surrogacy, why that's a bad thing. But before I go into that, I'll provide you three levels of rebuttal. The first, we heard from the opening opposition that alternatives are worse, but we feel that opening opposition had a non-starter case. Because before he even started with any of his benefits, he told you that there will be a very high standard for these women to obtain. To have like neat qualifications, like documentation, like great healthcare, great health benefits. But that excludes a large proportion of women that use it are suffering currently under the status quo. At best, you will help some women, young girls, that will exclude a large proportion of other women. So we think that's a non-starter. The second thing we will say is in regards to open information. We asked them if someone would be okay with selling your only kidney, if that means that your child will be. He said yes. We think this is problematic. This is the exact same rhetoric that is employed by poor people when they choose to go to casinos to gamble. Because they see the immediate benefit that is short term that will alleviate them from the problems they currently face. Giving away your only kidney would mean less job opportunities. Means that you get tired faster. That means you cannot be employed in construction site, which is a large proportion of jobs available to men in the very context that you wanted to do that. So we don't think you can easily get away with the trade-off that you wanted to continue. The third thing is, if the situation is so bad, and according to open opposition, that it's horrible economy, then the very women that you say won't suffer will take their qualifications, will provide sexual favors for the very officers that would approve their qualifications and will opt into your model and thus make it a lot worse. So if it's true that it's so desperate, you think your model is a non-starter. The second point of response is in regard to whether or not you make the patriarchy stronger. It annoys me because you have to first make the argument that the choice that these women make are independent out of the structures of the patriarchy to begin with. You cannot argue in isolation that just because a woman chooses to put herself in a dangerous circumstance, that choice is owned by her. At this point, we also heard a qualification from the second speech that says, if there is third party harm, we will not compete with it. The person that initiates the action and eventually gets harmed by the third party, harm that you say is so pertinent, can be exactly the same person. What does this mean? So even if I'm coerced into doing something and my choice harms me, I am the third party in that harm. You are harming the woman, and that's why it's completely ignorant to say that this choice is independent. The last thing we will say is in regards to closing opposition's point of information. That money is the problem, we will subsidize that surrogacy. This makes no sense. Like, who are you subsidizing surrogacy for? You're subsidizing surrogacy for other women that want to have the children. That means not only are poor women currently being coerced by other rich people, but the state is also coercing other women to give up their bodies. Right? I think that's really bad. So 2 points of extension. The first thing we'll talk about is the thing that was lacking in regards to the discussion of consent is the comparative. MHC. What is the comparative? Because we agree with a lot of European government's argumentation that is women get ostracized, it's actually dangerous, there are very little choices, they're work by that. But the comparative is this, that the comparative is individuals giving up disability and working in places that are so horrible like this guy talk about, right? For example, like sweat jobs, like working in construction sites. We think that much more preferable than giving off your body to what you describe as a one-off transaction that will render you useless for the rest of your life. We'd rather them work in sweat jobs because that provides them with a skill. That means they know how to sew. That means they know how to build houses. That means this is a skill set that they can maintain. They can go on to teach. They can carry on to other sweat jobs because your one-off deal is insufficient to provide for these individuals. But the second thing is we would rather no payment, we would rather a no payment surrogacy, which means that there will be less evidence, there is less evidence of coercion in this transaction. So if a woman altruistically or like definitely wants to give up her body in order to carry pregnancy for another person, we need no payment to this transaction is evidence that there is very little to no coercion in that transaction. So all the benefits of bodily autonomy that you say exist with individuals that do this, right? No thank you. The second point of extension is the discussion on payment. Because what was lacking is the discussion on commercialization and the harm of the commercialization when it comes to surrogacy. The epitome of commercialization and paid surrogacy is advertising, and I'll take it now.
So at that point in time, your children, your other children are suffering over there. Are you going to obtain welfare? And the only alternative is surrogacy. Are you willing to deny the children?
Look. Under your side, I'll explain now, right? Very simply, you would opt into one-off deal that render your body useless, right? After this one-off deal. And at point in time, your money will go to your patriarchal husband, they will use it to gamble off all the benefits that your woman gained from that transaction. So you don't get anything. We'd rather than having on a skill set that's independent of a one-off transaction and off of your husband, at least they own that skill set. You need to deal with that analysis. Moving on. So like, at the very least, what we heard from the opening opposition as well is that this is a short-lived lifespan of a career and you get lesser out of it. Why is this problematic, right? Because it would be more likely that husbands, fathers to prep their daughters and their bodies in order to prepare them to be the best surrogates possible. What does this mean? This means it's less possible that your child will be motivated to go to school because your father says the only reason you're born a girl, we won't kill you, we didn't invent seconds, but at least now you have to provide for the family by being the best surrogate you can. So not going to school will be more forgivable under their side because you know what, at least you bring honor to your family by being a surrogate. The second thing we'll say is that you can be badly treated. If it's true from the opening competition and we'd like you to believe that or not, then give them some credit. Maybe you can do it twice, maybe you can even do it 7 times if you're lucky. At the point in which that is over, not only does all your money go to a patriarchal structure, but your body is weak, it's rendered useless, and you cannot do anything else beyond like what teaching other girls to be like subordinate to the patriarchal structure. So if commercialization is the bane of our existence, we are happy to say in closing government that we regret the existence of nature. Thank you very much.
Well, to accept all cases, I now have a member of opposition here.
Not believe that parents are alive and need to not children the state do not want to think at all. I think it's a double standard of morality for the state to impose on parents because they feel that surrogacy is bad for them and therefore they want to prevent it. Because I'm going to show you my extension. I'm showing number one hundred policy reduces the incentive of the dog at end of the day, and I'm going to tell you why it makes things worse for the surrogate mother who was so desperate under the characterization of all the orders. Before that, let's deal with your points. Let's first deal with this random thing from over here. Right? They said that the stigma against adoption was so bad, but suddenly when we regret surrogacy, right, or like under that policy when it was not accessing surrogacy, suddenly people will be more open to explore additional options, ideal options. We don't not think so. Think about the characterization of having such heavy stigma against adoption. We think that parents are more likely rather not have children. So we'll tell you my session why that's absolutely harmful. But secondly, right, let's deal with the benefits for surrogate mothers and some extension that came from Borneo. They told us essentially that they would rather have people opt to do things like such job rather than surrogacy because they can get skills. They have four responsibilities. Number one, we think it's a choice of women. It is a choice of the women to do whether or not they want to opt for surrogacy. I mean, the consent value is they want to make this active choice. But see, but secondly, we don't think the sort of benefit of having an extra job will actually trickle down to people under your side, and at the point at which this allows hundreds of people or like a large amount of surrogate mothers to be able to access this sort of surrogacy and more like once that informs people to do other more things. We think that it increases our competition, it's sweatshop and factory, which means that at the end of the day, this part is more unlikely that the benefits that these people otherwise get in terms of job don't actually trickle down to the people. What does this mean? This means that these women are not more likely to opt for things like crime, like prostitution, something like that. They are unable to compete with other people and get the views that they so wanted. Not now. But thirdly, we think that if their characterization is that the benefit of surrogacy or the money from surrogacy, which has been taken up by the patriarchal husband, right? Or that we think that the benefits of the job field, even if you do get it, will just go to your husband anyway. So right? We think that that's not the case. We also think, however, that this characterization is not entirely true. We do think that the benefits should go down to the people. We do think that people, like people who are, especially who are not connected to parents, people who, like there are some people who do get benefits, who are able to access for financial resources to benefit from surrogacy. So, like, fourthly, we don't think that surrogacy is a one-off thing. We think that it's an untrue claim from some house in this way that you can only have surrogate maybe once in a life. We think that it can happen many times. We don't think that we will only give for every one time. So we don't think that this benefit is once off only. So we think that comparatively, we would rather have these people offer the benefit of surrogacy. But the comparative thing is more likely people to access the benefit or the financial benefit from surrogacy rather than from the alternative under government. But lastly, they talk about why the consent in this case was valid. We don't think so. We think that the point at which people decide to make a decision is a value judgment at a point in time. We think that they can then decide whether or not they want to access the benefit of surrogacy. Also think, right, that by the same metric, you also prevent any other people from making irrational decisions. Like you allow people to vote for this, right? For some people are quite irrational. So we don't think there's an argument consent is valid in this case. Let's look at my extension. I'm not going to pick one. But it's policy reducing value to a lot. But it's policy reflects double standard for that. The flow approach. When the women either work with the shop or commit crime, then there's a better mandate for state to want to improve the terrible conditions that are prevalent within these countries that surrogate mothers come from. But I don't get it. Like, if that was true, that means people are supporting surrogacy, right? And we would rather have surrogacy because we think that they extended on the ground are more likely to access those benefits. That's the extension, number one. But it also reduces the time too long. Given that there's a large stigma against adoption, it's kind of like just not stop people having surrogacy doesn't mean people will start adopting. It is more likely that people start getting adoption even more. And it's seen as the reason why they can't have a kid, a biological kid, because they biological stigma so much. This is harmful in three ways. Number one, do not increase the number of adoptions. Rather, parents would rather not have children to start with. I think it's harmful at the point at which parents stop having children. Population gets the population growth is unsustainable. We're talking about an aging population and increasing population size. Problem that made by China and Germany because their parents are not having 2.1 children per couple. Which means that at the end of the day, the labor force is shrinking, which means that your economic level in the future is something that's not guaranteed at all. But let's say beyond that. Secondly, right, I think it's more likely that you reduce the number of adoptions because people who are unsatisfied with their practice situation but they cannot get a surrogate child are more likely to talk about it in school. Are more likely to influence everyone feeding into this narrative against adoption. But now, this means that there's a lot of people who use money for adoption. Or rather, they just influence people not to adopt. But third, you just deny these parents who want to have a surrogate child and don't want to adopt a child to solve happiness that they otherwise would have had. Because they can get psychological benefit for it. Usually, and see it go down. And we don't think that there's something, that we want to deny. Comparatively, and in a status quo, we want to antagonize people who want to have things. People have their ability to the law. This means we all need to have this right. Everything and we rather have this policy. Second extension, why does policy reflect the double standard of morality? You obviously the parents have a choice to have children whenever and however they want. Like we allow parents to raise their child, allow them to religiously indoctrinate them, right? We allow parents genetic level to have children, we allow drug addicts to have children, we allow old people with large families to do the sometimes have to call them. What does this mean? It's because we recognize the choice that the parents when one to have kids, right? What we said that it was traumatic. We argue that they consented to it. When we draw a parallel to soldiers that they can opt out of mission because at the point in which they already consented to do it. We think that why should states impose standard morality? You must adopt children. You don't make the time to go out to it, right? However, we think that morality is worse. People were so desperate to get this morality started, they would do it anyway, as characterized by those people. This means that if places where it's legal, it goes underground. But what's worse is that there's no legal protection for those people who actually opt into things like the prophecy, right? Comparatively, other status quo, couples were surrogate mothers decide and bring it to court and fight those things out. Like women give out a child and are not like give out a child are not favorite, are more likely to seek a for legal protection because there are other status quo. And in most times, when you drive it underground, people don't get access to legal protection and then necessarily because it's the harmful implications of morality, something is really tough.
For the child in rural Punjab who was told to give up their education, not engage in heavy sports, eat certain food and stay at home, we think that child never had anything. Even if she did, her life is circulated around commercialization of surrogacy, and we think the point at which her life is restricted, we think that is not a point for women, that is a point for the patriarchy, that is a point for poor, underprivileged women. Despite closing, the government had three things to say. But largely unsuccessful. The first thing we told you, that independent of consent, if a woman has to constrict her life because we commercialize surrogacy, we think there's a point at which she has lost out on numerous benefits. The second thing we told you was the trade-off, right? You prefer women that live in horrible textile factories, maybe have things happen to their arms and they probably lose the limb. But there's a preferable world and her losing her movement, losing her strength and losing everything she has because she has a one-off payment, maybe 3 or 4 times, because that is irreversible and there's no benefit she gets at the end of it. We think that is largely not engaged by the member of the commission to inception. And I'll explain that later. But before I go to 2 questions, who protects women better, and on a balance, are we more likely to get women in better positions to make better choices? I'll ask 2 questions. The first thing he says is adoption will be limited, and that means adoption will increase, and as a consequence of this model, individuals are going to take individuals to adopt. The first thing we will say is that independent debate, because obviously incentivize more individuals to adopt. The point of adoption is low, maybe we increase campaigns, maybe we financially incentivize them, those things that happen anyway. The second thing we will say is the people that you say will take adoption will just find money to pay surrogacy. How do you get them on your bandwagon? How do you ensure adoption? So it's a zero-sum game on your side. And the outside maybe we'll get more people paying adoption, and the your side will get people paying surrogacy. So we don't understand how this thing tends to be or very important anyway. But the second thing he says is there's a double standard morality. We should allow people to have absolute control of children. If that's your contention, we think there are numerous ways we don't allow that. If you hurt your child, we remove that. If you can't afford to pay for them, we remove that. If you're poor and you're black family, we also break up that family. If you religiously indoctrinate your child to become a homophobe or a xenophobe, we will remove that child. We think all those exceptions exist because of standard morality. Absolutely nothing to do because we don't think it's based on any option to be beneficial. Right, the 2 questions are, but before that, I just have to make a few clarifications. The model of opening opposition and the extension closing opposition was detrimental to them and we didn't hear a reason to justify it. for two reasons. The first thing they say is it will just subsidize women. Everyone wants to be more in surrogacy, we'll just pay them, and as a result, the state will be facilitating choice. And the second thing they say, you will have information and healthcare for all individuals. So Surya already told you for a large part of the speech that if you're going to subsidize women, that's not just one person coercing you, that's the entire state condoning that coercion. And as a result, more women have more access to coercion. But the second thing he says is, obviously it's true that if information is available to everyone, that information will be lesser for some people. And that's true for rural parts of India, the people who don't have healthcare, who won't meet the standards of opening government, who also won't get subsidized because they don't have the healthcare facilities and documentation you say is important for individuals. Even without this policy, obviously people who are opting for surrogacy who also opting for the best version of it. So it's not true that you help poor individuals even with your model. So who are the people who support and actually do help in this case? Maybe middle-income women, maybe some individuals who might not. So we don't think you help people, you say have dying children at home and have a patriarchy fight against them. First question, who protects women better? So the first thing he says is, in order for us to help dying children on the street, women need access to this. If you can subsidize surrogacy, you can subsidize healthcare, you can subsidize education, you can subsidize the world for them. If anything, we think those children are in a better position to get access to schools. If her mother goes to a sweatshop, if she gets skills that are intrinsic to her, to which he says, well, the money will go to the patriarch anyway. Well, the nuance is this, and this year, money, she's in a position of how to claim the money. The point at which you take the money from me, I will no longer work in a factory, I will no longer get an opportunity. But the second thing is, even if the father takes the money that he will maybe on both sides, she can leave that family, have the skills and go get another job, and that child wouldn't suffer anyway. So maybe the patriarchy is strong on both sides. On our side, she has actual benefits that don't transcend her age and probably her physical. So we think that's comparative on our side. But the second thing he says is, sweatshops are coercive and you obviously increase competition means how women don't get skills. So right, the first thing we'll say is a zero-sum game on both sides, maybe women are coerced, but you rather women get coerced into long-term sustainable things like sweatshops that give you skill set, fostering to work up the ladder, maybe get an SME one day. We think those are preferable than an aging body that you one day lose. So we think that's the comparative how we protect rural women in India when we incentivize them to take long-term sustainable opportunities. Yes, or no?
Right, trade-off and mobile beginning markers for cash payoff, which may actually make a difference in life. For the comparative is having a woman who's a sweatshop with nothing at all. These our side provide options and alternatives that don't really exist.
What kind of comparative is that? The comparative is not nothing to the sweatshop. The comparative is skill set. The comparative is access to health insurance, the health capacity to move our socializing. That's the comparative. Comparative is not nothing. Your side is nothing. You get a one-off payment, lose your body, maybe get healthcare, and then go back to the same patriarchal structure. That's the comparison you're going to have to make. But the second layer in how to protect women is that it's psychological threat. So we think the extension of Siron was important. The point at which the patriarchy is strong and you incentivize women to give up part of their body, you allow families and individuals to incentivize women. So your women, you say, are coerced, will be more coerced under your side because they'll be incentivized to not get into jobs, not get into possible sports that she probably could be good at, she probably could represent the country. She won't be allowed to have a basic access to education, she wouldn't be allowed to do that. So if you say the patriarchy is strong and you wish to have access to bodily autonomy, how on earth is she supposed to fight for bodily autonomy when her father reduces her to a carrot, to a womb, because that's the way her life is supposed to be. So we think on a comparison, we want to have less bodily autonomy in your work when she's coerced by all the structures that incentivize her to join this commercial work. But the second question I ask is in terms of whether or not it's really coerced. So the first thing Suran says is it doesn't matter which coerced because independent of coercion is commercialization of the cycle that puts her in a horrible position. But we think on a balance, obviously she's coerced. And in a lot of instances, we disallow people from opting into things that are coerced. So if you don't pay individuals money to opt to medical experiments because it's highly coercive, you might lose your limb, you might have horrible things happening that are irreversible. People are not allowed to be coerced into abortion and you have regrets are not allowed to have one. Like all these things that if your body is at stake and you're in a position to not make that choice, you are not allowed to do so anyway. So if it's true, the biggest contention is debating women that coerced, obviously they are like circumstances around them. Circumstances usually incentivize them to opt to surrogacy. So we think on a balance, if women are putting themselves in a position that is horrible, not for anything sustainable, but just to feed the patriarchy, just to feed the family that abuse their children, nothing more than a womb, just to bring me proud.
Government level goes to make the number of
a woman that has no other alternatives to keep herself. The comparative to closing government was that I'm better off in a sweatshop, but we don't think so. We think that there was a false comparative and a false characterization of a sweatshop, and we propose proposition will not stand. I have two questions. Number one, why is this model better for parents as well as surrogate mother? This is what I discussed. Why it's important to have some sort of protection towards the surrogate mother, especially if it comes out to surrogacy. And second of all, I think admitting for both propositions is extremely important. Why does this model then protect a child? Because the argument for closing government was this, that we are okay with providing campaign to separate option, but we don't think that is effective. We don't think it is sufficient. We think it needs to extend above and beyond that. When people retract donation to adoption centers, when people antagonize individuals from adoption centers, and antagonize children because it is because of you that I'm unable to have a biological child because of the state imposition of morality. We think it's extremely harmful towards not only the child, but also the parent. First question, why is this model that better for the parents and the surrogate mother? Because we need to recognize the context here. These people who want to thank you, who want to have a biological child, right? And under the characterization of opening government as well as closed government, these people will always like these people who always want to have a biological children, and it never track that. So this means that you force surrogacy on the table. It means that it's more likely that people are going to opt for surrogacy. Anyway, the comparative was this, that we are okay with individuals not getting paid, but the other side is more likely for these poor individuals to get exploited in the first place. We think it's extremely harmful. Well, thank you. We think that the moment you resort, the moment you allow these individuals to resort to going underground, to allow them to force them to go to more dodgy doctors, to force them to have dirty treatment, and it's extremely harmful, not only in terms of physical harm to the mother, but also biological harm for the child in and of itself. They need to respond to this, right? Because assuming that the characterization was that surrogacy was going to happen anyway, they then need to provide a better alternative for that. No, thank you. But above and beyond that, the comparative was this. We think that people are paid surrogacy are then inherently protected by the law. And this is why either extension was extremely important. We give examples of how surrogate mothers that don't want to give up the baby, right? Or something the characterization of opening government. But we think that because you have the law on your side, because you are able to be protected by structural legitimacy, no, thank you, it is much better under this system. All parents that don't necessarily want to pay these individuals, right? They coerce them and you don't characterization into getting into being a surrogate mother, but they don't want to pay that. Because you are the side at best, you are the side that exploit this baby even further. Because under these circumstances, these people will never be able to go to court or never be able to report to the law in order to protect them. So thank you. We think that also, people extend above and beyond that. At that point in time, when the surrogate mother is pregnant with their child, that individual needs to go to professional for help. But you deny the individual for any help in that instance. So thank you. The comparative is simple. Under their side, it's easier for these people to be exploited. It's easier for these people to no longer escape the protection from the law. And it's easier for these people to be harmed. It's less likely they want to protect the people that do want to fight for that in the first place. So thank you. The contention was this: these people will not accrue any benefit because under our model, apparently, people like the patriarchal society is going to accumulate all their money from surrogacy. We think that's extremely harmful. Number one, we think this is an extreme characterization. We don't think like they're necessarily limiting the father they're limiting. Value. But second of all, even if this was the context, right, we think that that's not mutually exclusive. Because at that point in time, when you say this baby can go to these sweatshops and can work and get money, then why is it that why won't that half of these patriarchal societies taking away the money from these individuals? But then the contention was this, that maybe like from sweatshops you are able to obtain is much better because you are able to obtain better skill sets and better protection. We don't think that that's true. We think that's a false characterization in and of itself. But within the sweatshop severely underpay this bidding. This means that they are forced to extreme over time and they are forced to work under extreme conditions. So thank you. They are forced then to work either without like health insurance or healthcare or protection for their employees. Because the employees don't care about them because they're easy to replace. So thank you. We think that under these instances, you then provide even though a marginal skill set that you provide, we don't think you're able to allow us to defend yourself in society. We think that extremely harmful. So the comparative is extremely simple. If you want to force these women to get into special stuff like that, you need to then prove why it's comparatively better when you have the legal protection and the psychological competition, when you allow the protect these women to be better and have even more money for the make a difference. Because the comparative and the psychological government, but the individuals get minimum pay, like below minimum wage, and it's extremely harmful under these instances because you don't think that you allow to provide enough money for these people in order to make a change. But before that,
why would a middle income or rich lawyer opt into your dirty underground surrogacy at the point in which they need to document their child because they will lose their reputation.
We don't like, okay, if that was the context, I think that what happened under your side is you constantly like exploit the women even further, right? Because it's assuming they were so rich, assuming they were so up there in class, it's easier than to exploit the women under your set. Because now the poorer women, like the women actually, like the women that are opting for to be surrogate mothers, will not necessarily have a protection in and of themselves. Within the benefits, like won't necessarily improve under psychotic government. But secondly, like the surrogacy that make the surrogacy make a choice to be done. Because they argue that the asymmetry of information, that the individuals would not necessarily coerce. We don't think so. We think that your obvious information, we are very willing to provide information towards this individual. If your argument is against commercialization, we are very willing to stop commercialization as a whole. Like stop saying that we are come to surrogacy and stuff like that. We think that natural commercialization. Why is it important for us to recognize that this page surrogacy is harmful? Because they say that under their model, people are more likely to use us, but we don't think so. We think that logic, right, extends to people, but poor people making decisions. Because if your argument is that people of the poorer spectrum don't necessarily have enough information, then you need to also defend poorer people not being able to make decisions at all. We think that's absolutely abhorrent and not what side good competition is going to stand for. People assume that this is your context, or assume that a poor girl is like going to constantly force you to be a surrogate mother. We think at that point in time, when it is extremely important for an individual and there's no other alternative present, you need to empower the individual's choices that they need to make. It's extremely important that at this point in time to allow to protect this individual's choices. But second of all, why is this more than better for the child? Because we need to recognize at this point in time, when you no longer allow surrogacy, that the comparison and the alternative point of view for this individual who's opting for adoption, we don't think that this actually happens. We think that under their model, it is less likely that individuals are going to put one part adoption centers because they're going to feel that the children within the adoption centers, or is because of these adoption centers that no longer allow them to have a biological child. We think that this model is a miscarriage of justice, especially the circumstances are extremely detrimental. And at the point in time when this model is passed, we don't think that individuals are best able to be protected. Such good competition of users.
Thank you. If I have one piece across the house, she has really nice. I'll talk to you guys about 10 minutes or less. Thank you.